Creatures of Ava is hitting Game Pass day one. In it, you are Vic, a conservationist visiting the planet Ava, as you attempt to save its local flora, fauna, and indigenous people from a deadly infection. They call it the Withering, and for anywhere between 10 to 20 hours, depending on how completionist you're feeling, you will battle to save the planet from this gruesome fate. Creatures of Ava is beautiful, and it's a moving title. A solid story gets paired with interesting gameplay mechanics that never see you actually directly engage in combat, and I adored the title by the end. So let's get into just what you will be doing in the XboxEra review of Creatures of Ava. The star of the game is the world of Ava. There are 5 distinct biomes in Creatures of Ava, and you'll start in the grasslands. After your dropship crashes, you'll quickly meet the natives and start to learn how their ecosystem functions. Much like Avatar and other spiritual-focused titles, Ava's this big, ever-connected populace. The plants, animals, and peoples of the planet all tend to share this deep spiritual connection that your human protagonist is unable to understand. Ava has an affection that is slowly destroying all life and turning the animals aggressive. Each area has its own song, which you will play on a flute to connect to the local animal population and have them help you with platforming puzzles via directional control. To get them friendly, though, you'll need a trusty scientific instrument from a culture long lost to the planet. You'll get a spirit rod type device that can heal the wither, removing it from infected creatures and flora. This makes up the majority of the gameplay as you clear blisters to open up paths, soothe animals to be able to use their innate abilities to open more paths, and you never actually fight anything back as Victoria. She is there to save, never harm, and it was refreshing to have this almost Pokemon-style title that focused on helping instead of using your enslaved animals to fight for your amusement. Vic will visit each area and be tasked with rescuing a set number of unique wildlife there. I got my review code on Friday evening, and this embargo was only 3 days later on Monday. The game has a fair number of side quests, with the majority being go here, get thing, come back. It is a video game-asked video game with a very light crafting system to heal or get temporary buffs, and a basic skill tree that is your main reward for exploring. I tried to play as much as I could in the time I had given, and I had nearly every skill unlocked by the end, though I could see finding all of the items needed for, say, boosting your health and stamina taking a decent amount of time to find. And Creatures of Ava has some obvious budget limitations, as many of the game's conversations are not voiced. It can be a little jarring when a voice does kick in suddenly after an hour or more of only having music and sound effects. That music is beautiful, featuring a heavy dose of that flute use, as the game's main mechanics is learning those songs in each zone that Vic will learn to play. These songs are learned via the Chia-style note wheel, and every time you want to connect to an animal you haven't already cured, you'll need to play their song back to them. The game was forgiving if you accidentally hit a note in between that you weren't meant to as well. But when the voice acting does kick in, it's really good, with Vic, the protagonist's VO, doing my favorite work. The locals, your close friend and colleague Tabitha, and the closest thing the game has to an enemy all do well in their limited opportunities. Graphically, Creatures of Ava is gorgeous. I played on Xbox Series X and PC, and the game ran well on Unreal Engine 5. Using Lumen on PC did lower my FPS by a fair amount, but my 5800X and 7900 XTX AMD combo were able to maintain a near 120 FPS lock at 4K while using FSR on performance mode. I didn't notice any slowdown from the 60 FPS target on Xbox. It looked really good there. It's much like Fortnite. This is an Unreal Engine 5 title, but it is not going for realism. Creatures of Ava has an incredibly vibrant color palette and stylized look that should stand the test of time. When you're using the rod to cure enemies of their wither, it is a lock-on fest full of different colors as you collect new powers throughout the main campaign. These powers are your progression blockers, not allowing passage to certain areas until you possess them. You can assign 2 of the 4 at any time to the right bumper and trigger respectively. Time will slow down as you choose between them, and they are used a lot in the platforming sections as well. There's one other main mechanic, and it is great for showcasing how pretty the game is. Sees you using a camera to take pictures of characters, creatures, and the environment. At any time, you can press right on the D-pad and bring up the camera, with a skill allowing you to slow down time so you can take the best pictures possible. Every time you take a new picture of something interesting, you'll get experience points too. As far as bugs or issues go with the game, I didn't have any major bugs, but I did have some issues. A few of the game's biomes feature plants that explode when you get too close. In the first area they're in, they not only deal damage but blind you for 10 seconds as well. In the second area, instead of making you blind, they stick you in place until you press the B button numerous times. There are booster drinks you can take to make their secondary effect be negated, but I found those damn plants ruin the flow of gameplay for me whenever they were around. This mostly relaxed title saw me bouncing around, losing most of my health, half blinded until I was lucky enough to find the right booster and then making as many more as I could. Outside of that gameplay loop, it's a great mix of solid platforming, engaging takes on how you have to clean the creatures and environment, and rewarding exploration. Wrapping things up, Creatures of Ava is an excellent title, and it's on Game Pass at launch. If you want a game that lets you explore a gorgeous alien planet, get your inner photographer on, and know when to mix in its version of combat, then I think this one is well worth a download.